They wake up with everything and still feel nothing. They smile in the mirror, take the picture, check the likes, and yet inside, there is a silence that feels like a scream. They've got the job, the car, the apartment, the degree, but ask them in the dark, when no one's watching, and they'll tell you, I don't feel alive. That is the wound of modern man. The world taught them to accumulate, but never how to feel. It taught them to chase the image, but not the essence, to build a life that looks full, while quietly starving inside. This is the truth no one wants to hear. Most people stay empty because they trade depth for distraction. They run from the silence and call it ambition. They numb their spirit and call it success. They abandon their purpose and call it being realistic. But the soul cannot be bribed. You can offer it comfort, wealth, reputation, but if it is not living in alignment, it will rebel. With quiet depression, with burnout, with chaos disguised as busyness. You were not born to perform. You were born to become, and the reason you feel hollow is not because you don't have enough. It's because you haven't yet remembered who you are. The world taught you to think in pieces. It told you to focus on the next step, the next grade, the next job title, the next thing to buy. It trained your mind to chase, but not to contemplate, to collect, but not to create. And so, your thoughts are scattered. 1,000 open tabs in your brain. No stillness, no clarity, just noise. But a fragmented mind can never create a whole life. You must learn to return to stillness, not as a retreat, but as a revolution. Khalil Gibran once wrote, "Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding, and in that breaking, in that sacred undoing, you remember what they tried to make you forget, that your mind is not a cage, it is a compass. And until you learn to guide it inward, you will keep searching for your soul in places it never lived the truth. The mind is not your enemy, but an undisciplined mind becomes a tyrant. It will talk you out of your dreams. It will make fear sound like wisdom. It will make numbness feel like peace. You must take it back, with intention, with vision, with silence that burns away the fog. Somewhere along the way, someone convinced you that belief is soft, that it's poetic, but not practical. They told you to be realistic, as if reality is fixed and not shaped by the very people brave enough to question it. But belief is the soil from which every empire grows. Belief is not just spiritual, it's strategic. No one builds a life worth living without first imagining it in secret, and yet most stay empty because they don't believe in anything anymore. Not in themselves, not in the good, not in a life that could be more than routine. They walk through the world with tired eyes and chained hearts, half alive, half awake, waiting for proof before they believe. But the universe doesn't respond to doubt. It responds to bold, trembling faith. Faith that acts, faith that builds, faith that walks, even when the path isn't clear. The truth. You don't need proof to believe. You need belief to make proof. And until you reclaim your ability to believe, not in magic, but in meaning, you will keep running and wondering why every finish line feels the same. What do you want? Not what the world told you to want. Not what gets the applause. Not what looks good on a resume or impresses at dinner parties. What do you actually want when no one is looking? Because clarity is not found in noise. It is born in brutal honesty. Most people stay empty because they don't dare to ask the real questions. They're afraid the answers might shatter the life they've spent years building. But what use is a castle built on sand? What use is a ladder if it leans against the wrong wall? Clarity demands courage. It demands solitude. It demands that you go to war with every lie you told yourself just to survive. Strip it all away. The image, the masks, the titles. What remains? That's your starting point. You don't need a map. You need a mirror, and in that mirror, not the one in your bathroom, but the one in your soul, you must look deeply enough to say, I'm ready to stop pretending. Only then can you build something real. A man without vision is a leaf. In the wind, he moves, but he is not going anywhere. And this is where the emptiness begins to rot the soul. In a life of motion without meaning, they say they're tired, but they're not tired from working. They're tired from wandering, from pouring energy into a direction they never chose, from waking up every day to fulfill a purpose that does not belong to them. But when a man has vision, everything changes. He moves with weight. He walks with fire. He speaks with conviction. He becomes dangerous, not to others, but to mediocrity. Gibran wrote, "The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals, but a flower cannot bloom in darkness. And your vision, your true calling, cannot emerge in a life flooded by noise. You must carve space, sacred space, not for dreams that come from the world, but for visions that rise from within. Because when you see it, truly see it, you will not need motivation. You will feel it pulling you from the inside out. You were not born to be efficient. You were born to be on fire. To wake with something in your chest that doesn't let you sleep. To feel your life bleeding meaning with every step you take. But today, most live without purpose and wonder why every wind feels hollow. They confuse movement with meaning. They confuse habits with harmony. They confuse having goals with having a reason. Purpose is not a line on your vision board. It is the soul's rebellion against the mechanical life. It is the fire that burns through the lies of "I'm fine." It is the gravity that keeps you grounded when the world pulls you into distraction, the truth. You don't find your purpose. You remember it. It's there under the noise, under the roles, under the expectations you inherited but never chose. It's the thing you were doing before anyone paid you. The thing that made time disappear. The thing you'd still do, even if the world never clapped. And most stay empty because they never stopped long enough to feel that whisper. They tuned it out. They covered it in responsibility. They drowned it in screens and scrolls and strategy. But a man without purpose is like a lighthouse with no light, still standing, still seen, but no longer guiding anyone, not even himself. And so the soul shrinks. Not because it is weak, but because it has been ignored. Purpose without discipline is a dream, but purpose with discipline is a revolution. And this is where most people fall apart. They feel the spark, but they never build the fire. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect time. They wait until they feel ready, and die waiting. Discipline is not punishment. It is devotion. Devotion to the self you are becoming. Devotion to the life you said you wanted when no one was listening. But here's the harsh truth. Most stay empty because they chase escape, not evolution. They want relief, not transformation. And transformation requires blood. It requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to the easy path. Again and again and again, the difference between a man who lives full and a man who dies hollow is not talent. It is discipline in the dark, when no one's watching. When the applause fades. When it's just you, your vision, and the voice in your head telling you to quit. That's where the fire is forged. Not in the sunlight, but in the furnace there. There's no breakthrough without movement. Clarity means nothing without courage. Vision means nothing without execution. We live in a generation of thinkers. They plan, they journal, they visualize, but they forget the sacred truth. You do not become your highest self by dreaming. You become it by doing. And most stay empty, not because they don't know what to do, but because they've built a habit of hesitation. They've trained themselves to delay, to doubt, to seek permission. But life doesn't reward the ones who wait. It rewards the ones who leap while still afraid. The action you avoid is the gate you must walk through. The fear you keep postponing is the assignment your soul is begging you to complete. Don't get stuck in the trap of over-preparation. Don't die with your best work still in your mind. Do, not because it's perfect, but because it's true, not because it's ready. but because you are tired of living on pause. You don't need more plans. You need more practice. If you don't know how to see the beauty of what you already have, you will never feel whole, even when you have everything you thought you wanted. Gratitude is not weakness. It's not settling. It is the grounding force of a powerful life. Most people stay empty because they chase from a place of lack. They think achieving more will fill the void, but the void was never about things. It was about presence. Gratitude is what makes the present sacred. It turns the now into a miracle. It's what transforms a house into a home, a job into a mission, a meal into a moment of divine fullness. Asterisk, Gibran said, "You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give." And gratitude is the beginning of that giving. It's how you remember that you are not waiting to become something. You already are something. A spark of the infinite. Worthy now. Capable now. Alive now. The man who walks with gratitude will never walk empty, because he carries his wealth inside. They cling to the life they planned, even when it's killing their spirit. They were told to stay loyal to their goals, but no one told them that the soul evolves. Most stay empty because they refuse to pivot. They refuse to let go of dreams that no longer fit. They confuse stubbornness with strength, but there is power in flexibility. There is courage in becoming. Adaptability is not weakness. It is the highest form of power. It is saying, "I will not be broken by change. I will become through it." You are not a tree. You are not built to stay in one place. You are allowed to shed. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to rise. The man who stays empty is the one who keeps watering dead soil, but the one who lives full, he listens, he adjusts, he grows stout, because he understands. It's not the strongest who thrive, but the most adaptable. Here is the final section of your cinematic voiceover script for the truth about why most stay empty. The emotional crescendo. You are going to fall. You are going to lose things you thought you couldn't live without. You will be misunderstood, unseen, betrayed by people who once called you light. You will doubt. You will break, and still, you must rise. Because staying empty is not about what the world did to you. It's about what you chose not to reclaim. Your peace, your power, your presence, your fire. This life, it owes you nothing, but it offers you everything. If you're willing to burn for it. Most stay empty because they've grown comfortable with numbness. Because pain became a pillow. Because bitterness became a badge. But emptiness is not your inheritance. It is not your identity. It is only a signal, a divine alarm that something sacred inside you has been buried too long, and it's time to dig. Time to remember what you used to feel. Time to return to the root of what it meant to be fully alive. You were not born to just cope. You were not born to just manage. You were born to ignite, to walk into the storm of life. Not with fear, but with flame. Not with shame, but with soul. Gibran wrote, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. So wear yours proudly. Let your cracks breathe. Let your wounds preach. Because the emptiness was never a curse. It was a calling back to yourself, back to your strength, back to your stillness, back to your purpose. Do not chase what is outside to fill what is within. You are not missing. You are waiting. You are not broken. You are buried. And now, it is time to unearth the fire. Live full. Live awake. Live true. Because you were never meant to die with your song still inside you. This is the truth about why most stay empty. And this is your moment to choose otherwise. Not tomorrow. Not when it's safe. Not when you feel ready. Now. So let the world spin. Let the noise shout. Let the distractions fight for your attention. But you stay still. Stay aware. Stay rooted in what cannot be taken. Because this world will keep trying to empty you. It will try to convince you that success is more important than meaning. That validation is worth more than silence. That achievement is greater than alignment. Don't believe it. Don't sell your soul for applause. Don't trade your peace for popularity. Don't abandon your truth to fit someone else's version of worthy. You were not built to be average. You were not born to be explained. You were carved from fire and dust, in the same breath that made stars. And somewhere inside you still, there is a boy, there is a girl, there is a soul, who remembers what it was like to feel everything, to dream without asking for permission, to speak without shrinking, to dance without fear of being watched. That part of you is still alive. It's not gone, just waiting for you to return. So return to yourself. And when you do, you will. See? You were never truly empty. You were just full of things that were never yours to carry. Let them go, and watch who rises from the ashes. Not a version of you, but the real you. The only you. The you the world has been waiting for.